Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing week. Today I wanted to talk about a viral video that I saw some years ago. I first saw it on the J Dreamers channel actually, and it really shocked me. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, oh god, another cryptid video. This really delegitimizes the work you guys do. And that's cool, you can think that. We're just kind of exploring ideas here. Also, I totally understand that the mainstream narrative claims that this is a hoax, but is that the case, or is that just what they want us to think? I'm going to go over how I don't really believe that this is a hoax and that this is actually some sort of cover-up for an accidental exposure of these cryptids currently unknown to our modern population. So essentially, while exploring a small chain of islands, a tour group stumbled upon a frightening sight. They heard a strange scream from one of the islands, and upon investigating, they found these creatures near the cave. It seems that they're performing some sort of ritual with music and water. These animals seem to have the appearance of a monkey, but with very long, noodle-like legs. Yet they walk around on two legs like a human. Now, if we take a look at this original video, we can see that the creature sitting on the rock has a very different sort of anatomy in his leg. And you can also see that it's sort of fleshy looking, and the feet are maybe more like a duck with a webbing. So the mainstream argument is that this was a performance art piece created by Norwegian artist Tori Rains. And that artist specifically does a lot of costume work and music work, so it's very convenient. However, a lot of people have pointed out problems with this explanation. Number one, none of the tourists knew that there was going to be a performance art and seemed really startled. Number two, the costumes created by Tori don't look exactly like the creatures in the video. Sure, they're similar, but they're definitely not the same. In this video, you can actually see the legs and feet of the costumes. Notice how they're not necessarily fleshy looking. They're saggy and have hair all over the legs, and the crotch is sagging, like a Halloween costume. There's no unusual anatomy in the second video either. The legs are very human looking. Number three, why would they be doing this performance art in secret? The tourists had no idea what was going on. You would think if this was some sort of performance art, they would have promoted it like a show. Come see the amazing Tori Rains gallery in Krabi, Thailand. And number four, the original audio is much more haunting and unique compared to the second video. And the explanation for the music is that it was some sort of Bulgarian choir or something, but I have my doubts. It seems that not long after this accidental encounter with these beings, the Thailand government was quick to respond and cover the information. My suspicion is that they created these costumes after the video went viral in order to debunk the story and put it to rest. You've got people commenting, wow, people are dumb, this is so fake, every other comment. Not only that, but the music in the second video, which is the one they sort of released in order to diffuse the situation, is completely different. Nothing like the haunting melody in the first one. The debunking videos seem like a cheap imitation. According to the locals, these animals have emerged from the cave to feed. The locals had also previously warned the tour group to be wary of the island, saying that it was cursed by a water spirit. There are also rumors of cannibalistic marooned sailors living in the area, tribes of cannibals, lots of people eating. So I think it's really strange that when the people came up and saw these creatures, they weren't startled, they weren't changing their behavior at all. It's almost as if they were like, so what? According to the locals, there's a small cave system underneath the rock face. This could explain how this species has never been encountered before. Chaina, Duwani, Kappas, could these all be the same creatures? According to a member of the tour, the locals refer to the creatures as Chaina, which roughly translates to waterman in English. According to the area report, the island is listed as a private property, which means that no government body can enter the area. So, let's consider this in reference to all we suspect about caves and rock formations. Look at Crabby Island. These are really strange formations in these caves. I know that the popular opinion is erosion, but let's consider the fact that they could be petrified remains of a being or maybe an old castle or temple or something of that nature with tunnels or veins or blood vessels that have petrified into these cave networks. And this story isn't necessarily unique to Thailand. There are countless legends of hairy beings living in cave systems, one great example being the caves of Malta. Tradition holds that before British government sealed up several tunnels, one could walk from one end of Malta to the other underground. One of the labyrinths discovered by excavators is the hypogeum of Hal Safani, which excavators discovered the bones of over 33,000 people who had been sacrificed by an ancient pagan Neolithic cult. British embassy worker Miss Lois Jessup convinced a guide to allow her to explore a 3-foot square burial chamber next to the floor on the lowest room of the last sublevel of the catacombs. He reluctantly agreed, and she crawled back through the passage until emerging on a cavern ledge overlooking a deep chasm. In total shock, she saw a procession of tall humanoids with white hair covering their bodies, walking along another ledge of about 50 feet down on the opposite wall of the chasm. Sensing her, they collectively lifted their palms in her direction, in which a strong wind began to blow through the cavern, and something big, slippery, and wet moved past her before she left in terror to the lower room, where the guide gave her a knowing look. And this also reminds me of that cheesy 1980s rendition of Journey to the Center of the Earth, if anybody's seen that. You've got a big, tall, hairy man covered in white hair and a labyrinth and tunnels, and just really, really interesting. Another interesting little media find is there's an episode of SpongeBob, and it's really strange, and it's called The Thing. And in the episode, Squidward is, in a way, turned to stone by way of a cement truck. He wanders around for some time, and SpongeBob ends up finding him and thinks he's some sort of unidentified or endangered species. And of course, antics ensue. Squidward is put in a zoo, the people make fun of him, calling him hideous and stuff, so SpongeBob and Patrick, out of the kindness of their hearts, break him out of this habitat, which is like a cave, and they take him through the sewer, and the sewer ends up leading them to a really strange place with creatures that resemble Squidward's concrete-caked body. And they're like these hairy, tall, just weird-looking, have these puffed-out cheeks and these big noses creatures. And I think it's really interesting that at the end, they're all listening to music played on a clarinet, and they're just kind of like moving in sync. And it was really strange to me at the time when I first saw it as a kid, but it kind of just reminds me of this whole situation. So definitely take a look at that. It's also the case that Thailand shares many Vedic legends, such as the Nagas and, interestingly, the Vinaras, and there are many stories of half-ape men in this region. I think it's worth taking into consideration that not every video of some strange creature on the internet is fake. If the idea that faking something like this is just crazy, consider this. What would it mean for humanity if these creatures actually existed? Well, I think it would destroy the modern scientific narrative that governs the Western world. If these creatures do exist, then the damage control would be immense. Faking some costumes and recreating the video is just a drop in the ocean compared to actually coming clean about the existence of other humanoid beings. And I know that there's going to be people who say, these things are real, but, they're doing it for their protection or our protection. And I just have a difficult time accepting that, because in the Malta situation, the government went in and they killed those beings. So it has nothing to do with preservation of an endangered species. It has nothing to do with safety, but everything to do with controlling the narrative. I understand the desire to want to adhere to the mainstream narrative. It's comforting to think that we know it all and that the world holds no mysteries. And it's just easier to read comments that say, oh my god, this is so fake, you have to be dumb to think otherwise. And I mean, just look at how many Tory Raines comments there are on the original video. There are so many that it's like, I don't know, maybe there's bots or something to shift the popular opinion. But I mean, that's about it. Definitely tell me what you think, and if there's any more interesting stories like this one, I'm super into the cryptid stuff. And I can understand that a lot of the people here for Just History are a little like, I'm not into this, but I think that it's all connected. In a lot of mythology and ancient religious texts and spiritual books, we do read a lot of stories about these strange and bizarre creatures. So anyway, let me know what you thought. If you want to chat with us, come to the Discord, hang out, have some fun. But until then, all we can hope is that our minds be unveiled.
Let go of everything you think to be true. Relax the mind and ask the question, do I truly understand what this reality is?